Welcome to Inside Scoop Live, the podcast where indie authors get personal, sharing insights about their books, their writing journeys, and their passions. I'm your host, Sherry Hoyt, and I invite you to join me for engaging conversations with both debut indie authors and seasoned veterans. Whether you're looking for your next great read or a bit of inspiration, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Today we're joined by May Brooks-Kempler, cybersecurity expert and award-winning author of Scams, Hacking, and Cybersecurity, the ultimate guide to online safety and privacy. Before we get started, here's the inside scoop on the author. May Brooks-Kempler is a leading voice in cybersecurity with a career that began in the 1990s, exploring online cheats and hacks. Over the years, she served as a security architect, chief information security officer, and consultant, speaker, and mentor, helping shape the future of online safety. She's delivered TEDx talks, keynotes, and regularly schedules her expertise through podcasts and online courses. As a member of the ICS2 Board of Directors and an instructor for CISSP and HCISPP certifications, May is passionate about making the digital world safer for everyone, especially families, a mission close to her heart as a mother of three. Learn more about May and her work at maybrooks.net. Well, hi, May. Welcome to Inside Scoop Live.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, listeners, before we get started, I have some exciting news to share about May's book, Scams, Hacking, and Cybersecurity, because it took home multiple awards in our ReaderViews 2024 Literary Awards program. It took home the gold in the Parenting, Family, and Relationships category, and also the Inside Scoop Live Award for Best Debut Nonfiction. So, congratulations, May.
Thank you. This is so exciting. So I really appreciate this recognition.
Absolutely. So tell us about your book, Scams, Hacking, and Cybersecurity. What's it all about, and what inspired you to write it?
I can say that I've been in cybersecurity for over 20 years. And over the years, I've seen so many people fall victim to various online scams that could have been avoided if they would have just known to identify those red flags. Honestly, staying safe online is not hard if you know the red flags. If you don't know them, you'll never identify them. It's very similar to road safety. We weren't born with the knowledge that a hand means stop. But if we see a red sign with a hand on it, we'll stop. We weren't born with that knowledge. We learned it. So that is sort of the backstory of how I got into security awareness and talking to the general public and sharing advice about staying safe online. And that was basically the backstory that led to writing this book. So I did a TEDx talk and I have an online community with 27,000 members now around online safety. And they all pushed me, why don't you write a book? So I did.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it's information everyone needs. And, we don't know what we don't know. And I feel like there's so much information that we need all wrapped up in a nice book like yours. What's changed most in how threats show up for everyday people over the last 20 years?
Oh, gosh. I think it's so easy today to create content in general, not just fraud, but it's so easy to create content. And the easier it became, and the more people use the internet, the easier it is for bad actors to use the same tools that we use for good to use them for bad. And that's what we've seen time and time again. And hackers are basically, most of them are just in it for the money. They don't care who they hurt. And there's this misconception about online fraud or scams and things like that, that it's a victimless crime. That's sort of how people justify it for themselves. Oh, no one really got hurt, because in many cases, if you scam someone, they'll go to their credit card company and get reimbursed for whatever they lost. In many cases, not all cases. However, that's not true, because basically we're all paying the price with increased premium and everything. So it's not a victimless crime, but it's very lucrative and it attracts a lot of people.
So by being very lucrative, are you talking about the emails that you get, like saying you've just won this, or something like that? Or is that what it looks like?
Well, that's what it looked like for the last 20 years. But today we see online scams in so many different ways. It could come from a text message, a WhatsApp message, Online ads, sponsored ads. People don't realize that if they see something, let's say on Facebook, and they see a sponsored ad, automatically they assume, oh, someone paid for it. It has to be okay. No,
Mm,
someone may have stole this account or stole a credit card to use in their own fake accounts, and they don't pay for it. They don't care. So they will run ads. And we see some of these ads, you have to really do a deep dive to actually realize that this is a scam. This is not a legitimate page. And we see that they basically mimic actual online ads. Sometimes they will take an influencer of some sorts and copy all their content and create their own profile.
oh,
So we see
wow.
it basically all around us. It could be an Instagram profile, a TikTok profile, online ads, an email, a text messages. Unfortunately, it really is all around us.
What's the best way to tell, what's real and what's not?
Well, I wish there would have been one thing that I could tell you. If this happens, then it's fake. We have to be more, well, I wouldn't say suspicious, but a little bit. We can't trust anything we see. And it's not just about scams, by the way. We see so much fake data out there, especially today with generative AI. And not all of it is bad. Not all of it is for scam purposes, but sometimes we'll see something and wait a minute, are you sure the president actually said that? Because it's
Mm,
very easy to take someone's voice or image and generate something that will look and sound exactly like them. It's extremely easy.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's a question of trust.
So everything that we're seeing on social media today, is that social engineering? Is that part of the modern scams? And can you break that down for us, what that actually means and why it works?
Oh, absolutely. So, social engineering is the art of manipulation. It's getting someone to do something they're not supposed to do or they don't want to do. Now, we all do it all the time. When I sit on the sofa and I don't feel like getting up and bringing myself, I don't know, a cup of coffee, and ask my husband, honey, can you bring me a cup of coffee? It's not because I don't know how to make a cup of coffee. I know how to make a cup of coffee. I don't feel like getting up and doing it myself. And yes, I am sort of manipulating him because I'm saying, honey, can you help? Like, yeah. Now we all do it all the time. When my kids were little and they didn't want to go to school on time, I used to say, last one in the car is a rotten egg, and they'll all race out. Now, honestly, I want them to get to school on time. They want to watch TV. So it's manipulation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do it like in these little things. That's why I use these examples, because we all do it all the time and we're all susceptible to it. And these are exactly the same methods that are used by online marketers. When I go online to shop for whatever, I'm sort of expecting that after about 15 minutes, I will have this pop up telling me, if you don't go ahead and complete your purchase, your card will be void. Why? When I go to the shopping mall and I walk around, no one comes up to me after 15 minutes and tells me, ma'am, if you don't go to the cash register, we'll take everything out of your card. It
Oh,
doesn't work
yeah.
that way. But we expect it online. And this is manipulation. This is social engineering, because they use urgency in this case to get us to do something now. And when we do something now, we don't think about it. So it's being used in marketing and it's being used in online scams. So usually it's the use of emotions like fear, greed, uncertainty, doubt, curiosity, urgency. These things trigger us. When someone sends us an email telling us, I know what you've been doing online, and I know that if I would use this number, which will be my actual phone number, or go to your address, which will be my actual home address, I know it would have been a better way to reach you, but I decided to send you an email instead. And then they'll
Mm,
go on with a lot of tech jargon telling us, oh, we know what you've been doing online, you naughty girl, and we're going to tell everyone and whatever. And this basically uses fear and shame, and they will ask me for money in exchange of them not publishing whatever they claim to have found. Now, this is called sextortion.
mm.
And let me tell you, they have no idea what I've been doing online. They do not have spyware on my computer, and they don't really know where I live or my phone number. This is something that could be easily found on any search engine. So most of us, when we see, oh, someone knows where I live, they must have access to my computer. No,
Okay.
they have access to Google.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people don't think they're on hackers' radar, but how do these attacks actually work? I mean, Is there like a search query that is performed on Google, or how does that happen?
So I always compare, well, the word phishing, which is email solicitation, let's call it. You write it with PH, but it's very similar to actual phishing. So it's like a fisherman will cast a net.
Mm,
He doesn't know how many fish he'll get. He doesn't know which fish he's going to get, but he knows that if he'll use a wide enough net for a long enough period of time, he'll have enough fish. And that's the point with most online scams. They don't care. They don't care who you are. It's not personal. It's very personal for you. It's very personal for me. For the victim, it is extremely personal.
right.
But for the hackers, they don't care. They just want to have enough victims.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, what should people think about before like they post on social media?
Yeah, so I always say think before you share. Think before you share. Should this be online? Is it relevant? Or maybe I should wait. And one of the easiest examples is when do you share that you're on vacation? A lot of people come back from vacation and then they find out they've been robbed when they were away. The robbers weren't that lucky. They basically followed you on social media and saw your posting from wherever. But for example, when I'm traveling, I usually wait. So if I'm traveling on my own, for example, for work or whatever, just for my own personal safety reasons, I will post usually at least 1 day delayed. So if you'll see me in Central Park and say, oh, wow, I'm there, let's meet up for coffee, you'll probably get a response like, oh, I'm sorry, I just left a few minutes ago. No, actually, it was 2 days ago, but never mind.
Okay.
But if I'm going with the entire family, I'll only post when we get back because I don't want anyone to know that we're not home.
Right, right. That's a good point. I've actually done that before. Yeah.
So, well, all of us did.
Yeah.
This company included. So yeah, so it's just thinking of before we post. Should this be online? Will I be happy with everyone seeing this, with anyone seeing it, with my parents, with my teachers, with my friends, with my future employers, with my colleagues? Am I okay? And even if someone tells me, oh, it's just my profile is private, great. Are you sure that everyone in your network is an ethical person that will not copy paste something, will not print screen it? Are you sure they won't get hacked? Let's say they are the best people in the world. Are you sure their accounts will never ever get hacked?
Right.
So it's not just posting. I don't even take a photo. Not posting it, I don't even take a photo that I have any problem with this photo making headline news. Not that I'm that interesting, but let's say now honestly, and when I teach teenagers, I always say, I'm not judging you. You want to share your intimate photo? Go for it. Celebrate your body. It's your choice. Enjoy. But remember that every photo you've ever taken may end up anywhere. So if you're happy with your grandparents seeing this photo, go ahead, enjoy. If you're not happy with your grandparents seeing this photo, don't take it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. It's out there forever.
Yeah, and it's impossible. Once the genie is out of the bottle, it's impossible to push it back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, passwords are another thing that continue to kind of trip people up. What's your kind of go-to advice for creating strong but manageable security habits?
Well, password management was the hardest chapter for me to write because I think I rewrote this chapter probably about 15 times because common sense is not always common practice. And what we should do is not always what we can do. In theory, I would tell you you have to use a different password for each and every service you use, no matter what. It has to be long and complex, and you have to replace it from time to time and everything. However, I don't think that's very realistic for the majority of users. So
Right.
there are basically three things that I would advise people to do. The first is you can use password managers. Now, there are free tools, there are paid tools, and in the book, I actually go in detail to the advantages and disadvantages. But for example, if you're talking about a free tool like the Chrome extension that saves your passwords, if it's your personal device and no one else has access to this device, that's not a bad option.
Okay.
But if it's a shared device and other people may use it, are you absolutely sure you'll always remember to log off? So this is, for example, one of the considerations you have to take into account. So password managers are a great tool. However, we need to remember that password managers, even the paid ones, are such super lucrative targets for attackers.
Hmm.
So it is a one point failure. And my advice is not to use only that and to not use it for your most sensitive accounts. Another method is using password conventions. So basically, a password conventions, let's say my password convention will be May's password, service, and a number. So let's say any sort of password that I generate, it could be a name of, I don't know, a song that I like. It could be my favorite book. It could be just a meaningful word for me.
Hmm.
And then I will put it at service. So let's say the service will be Facebook. And of course, I will add numbers and special characters. So that way, let's say it will be May's password at Facebook 1. The next one will be May's password at LinkedIn 1. So that
Oh.
is another way. So that's an easy way to remember passwords. Usually, I would only use it in very specific cases, like for more sensitive accounts. And the last one is to try and use your Apple ID, Microsoft ID, Gmail, or Facebook as sort of your main password. Because in many services, you can authenticate using, for example, your Gmail. So if I go into my Spotify account and I authenticate via Gmail, and let's say Spotify has data breach, I don't care. They never had my password. Basically, when I try to log into Spotify, they will go to Gmail and say, "We have this user. She claims you know her. Do you know her?" Now, if I authenticated to Gmail that day, they will say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, it's fine. We know her. It's fine." If I hadn't, they will basically trigger their authentication method. I will have to authenticate to my Gmail, and then they will tell Spotify, again, of course, it's just an example, they will tell her, "Oh, yeah, yeah, we verified her. It's fine." So these are basically three options for passwords. But no matter what you do, in every service you can, please add two factor authentication. Truly, I beg people to do it because it makes such a huge difference. Because two factor authentication means that I will use two things. One will be a password or a PIN number that I know. And the second will be a one time password that either I will get by text message, email, or generate in an app, which is the best and most secure option. These apps are, by the way, free. You can use Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Duo, or any other tool you want. It really doesn't matter. And this means that even if someone has access to your password, even if your password was not strong enough, if you had that second layer of protection, they can't access your account. Even if they have the username and password, it doesn't mean that they can access it because they don't have the one time password. So that is probably the easiest way to secure your accounts, any account. So I basically use two factor authentication in every account that enables it, which
Okay.
today are most accounts.
Right. So, if someone thinks they've been hacked or their personal data is out there, what are the first steps they should take?
Well, first, have a drink of water and calm down. That's always the best advice whenever you're in a cyber incident. And as someone who's been a CISO for many years, I've had my fair share of cyber incidents. So the first thing is take a big breath and try to understand what happened. And then try to understand what does it mean. Let's say someone hacked, and I will give my own accounts as an example. Let's say someone hacks my Instagram account. Well, I'm not very active on Instagram. So to be honest, I will do the bare minimum to try to get it back. And if I'm not successful within one day, I will probably just open a new account. On the other hand, if the same thing happened to my LinkedIn account, that would be catastrophic because that is one of my main platforms. I use it for work. It is an important tool for me.
Hmm.
So even before an incident, that is sort of the way that I think about things from a risk management perspective. I know that my LinkedIn account is far more important to me personally than my Instagram account. For someone else, it will be exactly the other way around. So the first thing is try to understand how important is that asset or what are the repercussions of whatever has just happened. If I think that someone stole my credit card, okay, so I'll cancel my credit card and get a new one. If I think someone hacked my personal device, what's in it? How important it is. And we do have to remember that the majority of hacks out there are not personal. When is it personal? Either when you're an important person and you might be important enough for someone to hack you specifically, or you work for high profile individuals or an interesting company, then it might be personal. But again, most hacks are not that sophisticated. I know what you've seen on Mr. Robot, but no, people don't actually hack your personal laptop by writing a piece of code within 2 seconds, nor would they want to. In most cases, it's about the money.
Yeah. And it's not efficient to take things personally for them.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, as a cybersecurity expert and a mom, what do you think are the key things parents should be teaching their kids about staying safe online?
Ooh. Whenever I talk about cybersecurity, I always tell people three things. We already talked about think before you share. With our kids, it is super, super important for them to be aware that anything they share online stays online forever.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the first thing. The second is think before you click. You see an ad, you see a post, you see something online, even if it looks like the best thing in the world, wait, reevaluate, and think, do you need to click this? Is this something that makes sense? If something is too good to be true, it's probably not true. And teach them those basic curiosity, I would say, skills. Oh, wow, I've seen this ad. It looks amazing. Let's look it up myself. Let's look up this company. Is it a real company? Is this a website? When was this website created? If it's, for example, a Facebook ad, when was the page created? And you can see it in page transparency. So that is the second tip. And the third one is sort of think ahead and secure. What I told you about passwords, about two-factor authentication, about assessing the impact of any incident. These are things that if we think ahead, it's so much easier to protect if you think ahead and protect yourself before something happened than to try to recover from an incident. For example, social media accounts takeover is something that is super hard. Even me, I've been working in cybersecurity for more than 20 years. I have a lot of connections with social media companies because I have this community and I help people that were scammed and hacked and
Mm-hmm.
everything. I can't always help people get their accounts back. I'm not sure that if my own account gets hacked, I don't know how long it will take me to recover my own account. That's why I do everything I can to secure my important accounts to reduce the risk. Is there a risk? Yes, absolutely. Can I get scammed? Absolutely. It will take 1 second of me being distracted and just clicking something without noticing. Yes, it can happen. They will have to work hard for it because my spidey senses are pretty sharp by now, I would say. But can it happen? Absolutely. Of course it can.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, your spidey sense. I love that.
Well, it is because once you start seeing these little red flags, you identify them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to look for. So for me, sometimes when I see an online ad, it takes me literally a couple of seconds to say, oh, this is true or this is fake. Sometimes I do have to invest more time. Sometimes I can tell you some of them, especially today with generative AI, it's so hard to actually detect those online scams. It used to be easy. You used to say, oh, if you see misspells or bad grammar and things like that, then it's probably a scam.
Right.
Actually, today, if I see something with grammar mistakes, I'll say, oh, that's probably a human. Oh, wow. Then this is probably, this is
Oh.
probably, yeah, because today ChatGPT doesn't make mistakes. Well, it does,
Right.
but not grammar mistakes.
Not spelling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't make those sorts of mistakes. So actually, when I see something that has these sorts of errors, I will say, oh, okay, a person actually wrote this
Okay.
because generative AI didn't. So I would say trying to read about these different scams, asking your friends. And I can give an example that happened here. I live in the UAE today. And in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, we have a lot of theme parks. We're very fortunate to have Ferrari World and Warner Brothers and Waterworld, and it's a lot of fun. And around the summer holidays, everyone is looking for ways to do something and get out of the sweltering heat.
Mm-hmm.
And going to the parks is a great way to spend the day. Now, there's annual passes. So, me, because I've been living here for a while, I have my annual pass for the parks. And last summer, they started running these sponsored ads with huge, huge promotions for the annual passes. Now, in the summer, there are actually a lot of sales in the UAE. It's a cultural thing. It happens. It makes sense. And to be honest, they scraped the original websites and copied them to a perfection. It was almost impossible to detect.
Huh.
But because it seemed too good to be true, I actually looked at the domain, at the URL itself, checked it, and saw it was just purchased like a few weeks before. Now,
Ah.
obviously, something like SeaWorld Abu Dhabi was opened a few years ago, and they purchased the domains several years before that. So I knew it wasn't a legitimate site. But just from looking at it, I would have no way of knowing. It looks exactly like the actual site. And this is just one example. It happens all over the world. So, and again, hackers have calendars too. They know that Black Friday is coming. So they know before Black Friday to send you these special promotions and sales and whatever. And after Black Friday, they will send you your order is on its way. And you have to fill in your details to get it through customs or whatever. And we see these scams again and again.
Yeah, yeah. So just do your homework, use your common sense, do your homework, do your due diligence,
Exactly.
and yeah, yeah, be smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't
Well,
trust everything you see online.
that's for sure. So
Yeah.
for people wanting to learn more after reading your book, what can they do? Can you tell us a little bit about your website and what you do and who you work with?
Absolutely, it will be my pleasure. So, first, I do try to share online advice all the time. I did start the Instagram profile a while ago. It takes time, but yeah, I do try. There are other people in cybersecurity that also share online. In my website, which is maybrooks.net, you can find so many other tips and tricks and guidebooks and things that you can use. In the end of the day, the information is out there, but you need to sort of review it. I have my own parental online safety course that is going to be launched real soon.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's ready, but I have to build the marketing around it. Building the content is easy.
Yeah.
Building the marketing is that's a different story. Yeah, so this is something that will happen in the next few months, and there'll be another course that I'm already working on for just people who want to secure their homes, and a few interesting things that are going to happen down the line. But honestly, at the end of the day, it goes back to the three principles: think before you share, think before you click, and think ahead and secure. If you follow these three principles, if you look around you and try and understand what's going on and try to evaluate things that you see, ask yourself, does this make sense? Who posted it? Does like, use common sense, honestly, because in many cases, no one will actually give you 80% off. No, it doesn't happen. Even on things like Black Friday, very rarely. Even on actual sales, it wouldn't be that extreme.
Right, right. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Probably is.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, May, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing a little bit about yourself and your work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today for my interview with May Brooks-Kempler, author of Scams, Hacking, and Cybersecurity. You can learn more about May and her work at maybrooks.net. And be sure to check out our other interviews at InsideScoopLive.com.